Cool.
I want to move now. So you've finished at UA, you've done your playing and now coaching. There's some sort of gap in there that we have to kind of cover. And as you've mentioned to me, and you haven't been shy about that, there were some mental health issues that you experienced and that you dealt with in your way, and we're going to get into that. I guess my first question around your own experience with that is, what was it that happened, but also what was it that happened that allowed you to identify, hey, I'm having some issues and I need to seek out some help.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, the mental health journey was certainly a defining feature of my adult life, honestly. So finish up at UAlbany. Everything's great. I spent a year selling cars, and man, oh man, did I hate that! But it was a great experience for like anything
You
I would do afterwards.
Oh my
I'll
god.
never feel
I
afraid of talking to anybody or selling anything. It was just trial by fire.
just
You know what I mean?
I would walk out of your lot with like a 95 Buick LeBaron or something like that John Voight drew or rode or
I,
something. Yeah.
I
I
did fairly well at it.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
I
you could sell yeah, you could sell a car. Continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, so but I didn't feel great about it. I did it for a year. I was like 23 years old at the time. I did a year of grad school, and I was making a bunch of money, but I wasn't fulfilled. I was like, man, oh
Mhm.
man, like I feel weird about taking these folks' money like this, and it was really and a lot of it's not what the stereotypes make it up to be, but a lot of car sales is exactly what it's made out to be.
Stereotypes can be
It's
stereotypes
not
for a
as
reason. Yeah.
it's not literally criminal, but it's pretty gosh darn close. And I just didn't feel good about it. So I wanted to contribute something. I had been, spent a lot the last few years of my life around 300 pounds. And I didn't,
Mhm.
now that I wasn't playing football anymore, I didn't need to be that big anymore. So kind of some of the experimentation I was doing with my own health and fitness and nutrition carried me into a career in fitness, which was
Hmm.
what I did as an adult. That's what I settled into for my career. Um, I got it was just kind of all of a sudden, I decided this is what I wanted to do. I got the textbook and the course from the National Academy of Sports Medicine, got certified as a personal trainer.
Wow.
In the 7 years after that, was certified in performance enhancement and corrective exercise. And, I had built a book of business that, by numbers was one of the most successful on the East Coast at one of the largest health clubs out.
Wow.
And just a career, 3 time a week classes at 2 different times a day that I was filling up with 25, 30 people. I was using everything I learned as far as connecting with people, balanced with some of this, sales stuff that I learned from cars and the personal experience I had before and after pictures. And it just made sense that this is
Yeah.
what I was doing and this is what I wanted to contribute back to the world. It was kind of just a culmination. And I was really good at it and I really loved it. And I really loved the things that I was doing. And so the, the, mental health struggle that kind of defined a lot of my adult life happened, um I suppose 2019, now in winter of 2019.
Oh,
So
that's recent.
with kind of that
Yeah.
as the backdrop as to how I wound up in this career in fitness. And even with the background of, I mentioned before that the physical expression was always something that was very important to me. As a big guy, I morphed that into strength on the football field, and I changed that into the ability to change my body and what that meant for my career. So it was always closely connected with how I define myself as a person, for good, bad, or indifferent. I just saw a strong correlation with who I was at my core and what I had learned about myself and the things that I thought was important, that I thought were important growing up. And now come to a place where I've had an injury to my lumbar spine. In the first one, it was in 2015. Um,
Okay.
probably 3 years into my fitness career. I herniated L4, L5, which,
Mhm,
you know,
mm,
I'm sure folks in the
yeah,
chat, there's going to be, I would
yep,
say, a couple people who can sympathize with this, with injuries to this area of the lumbar spine. It's really exceedingly common in adults, just based on degree. Had
yeah,
my first one in 2015 at 25 years old, which was kind of tough.
mhm,
Took me out of work for a month, couch bound, immobile, had to find my feet again. I had to
jeez,
run the rehab play. It was, kind of familiar from the ACL stuff. So, it wasn't completely uncharted territory.
yeah,
They paid me while I was out, rehabbed it for a month, came back to work, everything was great. Did what I was doing for another 2 years, and had another workplace injury. And it's like I'm not skipping over like what happened. The first one was me. I was cleaning up the gym. I know our guy Initial D knows all about picking up after folks in between your sessions. So, just cleaning up after
he's here,
somebody.
he's here, and I
Right.
bet he's
Yeah,
nodding,
I just saw
yeah,
him in the chat. I had to shout him out. I love that guy too. At the time, I could pick up almost 500 pounds off the ground on a barbell. I won't even, all of our kettlebells were marked in kilograms. And this particular kettlebell, the only one that was marked in pounds, and it was marked
wow,
18 pounds. And I picked it up, and that was the thing that slipped my first disc in
wow,
2015. Massively frustrating. Come back, like I said,
jeez,
2017, and I have a very similar injury. Just
mm,
picking something up, kind of just as I'm going about my work day.
yeah,
And now I've herniated. So the first one, 2015, L4, L5. 2017 was L5, S1. Now I have two herniations on top of each other, 27 years old. And now it's like not recovering right quite as well as it did in 2015.
yeah,
Go back to work, pretty similar type of deal. I was out for 2 months this time. Get back, we get rolling again. We're okay. And my last injury, the one that took me out of personal training for the last time, was in 2019. I think in summer of 2019, in June or July.
okay,
Really similar story. Getting ready to conduct one of my classes, I go to move one of these big plyo boxes that people are, jump on top of and whatnot.
yeah,
Um, Same type of pain,
jeez,
similar type of process, whatever it was, urgent
jeez,
care to MRI to the whole thing. Um, and this is where things get a little bit sticky. Hopefully, I didn't, give the background ad nauseum. I just wanted to give you guys kind of a perspective of like
well,
where I was at fully.
if
Um,
if I can just at least like as a listener right now, I'm listening to a guy whose identity has been tied to his physical ability. You've got football, you've got personal training, you've got this definition to yourself being defined by what you can do, and suddenly that's been taken away through
yes, sir.
just happenstance, through things that happen. And
Right.
I would imagine, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I imagine you felt pretty resentful at some level, like I would
I
be,
really
you
did.
know. So anyway,
Yeah,
sorry not to
I
interrupt.
did. No, not at all, man. That's what we're here for. And you're absolutely right. I did feel resentful. Kind of running
Pumpkin beer in the chat.
parallel. As Yeah, beers in the chat. I like that. Kind of running parallel, alongside my story as a personal trainer, everything in college. For the first time in college, I sought out treatment for what I would, be diagnosed with a few times over by different people later, with bipolar depression. So I would have periods of mania where, I feel like anyone who suffers can probably agree the mania is the best case scenario. If you could just bottle that and be in mania all the time only, no one would ever complain about having
Sure,
bipolar at all.
sure.
It's quite like a superpower, and if you could have that all the time, it would be great.
Yeah.
Um, but dealt with it in varying degrees of success throughout my life. In college, it kind of surfaced for the first time. I had been in a trial for depression as a teenager, and dealt with my fair share of trauma as a kid, as we all do. There's always stuff, right? The divorce and a substance abuse problem in my immediate family, and how that shook things up. And so was I depressed as a kid, or was I just sad that my parents were divorced? Who the heck knows? But got paid a little more attention to it into college and beyond. And now as we kind of come up through this moment in 2019, where you said it better than I could. My identity has become challenged. And not only am I resentful about that and kind of coming to terms with what that's going to mean about me and am I the same guy? Am I good in all the same ways that I
Mm,
thought I was? Am I, worthwhile in all the same ways that I thought I was? And
jeez.
the
Yeah.
most painful, I think, compounding effect came um in the way I was treated by my employer. And that's, I'll
Oof.
just call it my employer because it's even to this day, all these years later, is still actually an ongoing litigation based on
Wow.
what happened there. So the
Mm,
short story of it is, was out of work for I think it was 6 weeks at the time. Had a doctor's appointment, going to see the doctor. It's the same guy who had been treating me for years now. The only guy that they would let me see, working with workers comp. I'm sure more folks in the channel could
yeah,
sympathize with this. Working with workers comp, they are actively trying to stand in your way, right?
of
So
course.
minimal help
Their job is to
throughout that
deny
experience.
claims. That's their
That's
job.
exactly right.
So,
Right. They got to save a couple bucks.
yeah.
So same guy I'd been seeing. Go to the doctor, and he's like, "Listen, I don't want to do surgery on you at 29 years old. The way I see it right now, you have two options. You can I can release you from care, and you can start the settlement process." At the time, to my ears, save your chuckles. I was like, okay, settlement process, what, 6 months, a year, and I'll get some money, and I got a couple bucks in the bank. Like I could probably make it that far. It's not at all how that goes.
Yeah.
So release you from care, start the settlement process, or I can just make you permanently disabled. And that's not supposed to impact your prospects at employment
Jeez.
going forward. But in his words verbatim, he was like, but it probably will. And I wouldn't do that if I were you. And I'm like, okay,
So
doctor.
this is a non-option, isn't it? Like, I mean, your option
That's
B
what
is
it felt like to me.
completely unchoosable. So what?
Undoable.
Yeah.
So that was my choice. I asked him, I said, okay, doctor, what would you do in this situation? You're the guy, you're the MD, to tell me, help me. What do you think I should do? He's like, well, I think I should probably release you from care. Um,
Yeah.
I don't want to do the surgery. That's the best way for you to get some money. You could track down some other types of treatments, but like, I don't want to do a fusion on you.
Yeah.
Stem cells aren't covered. Like, I'll just release you from care. So I
Okay.
was like, okay. I didn't know what that meant. And I look back on that day, and I wonder whether I would have changed what I would have done or what I would have said based on everything that happened after that. But I left the
Mhm.
doctor's office. It was about 40 minutes away from my home.
Okay.
And before I got home, I had a text message from my manager, saying, "Hey, I got the good news that you were released from care. Usually you would be at work tomorrow. You planning to come in tomorrow or Friday?"
There,
And I said, "Well, Mike,
I'm gonna have a drink. Hang on.
okay, yeah, just to sip there, right?" And I kind of had to explain to him. I was like, "Well, I didn't get released from care because I'm better or
Yeah.
because I'm healthy or because I'm okay to do the things to spot somebody with weight on their back or demonstrate an exercise. Like, they just cleared me because they didn't know
Jeez.
what to do with me, and they said that I should start a settlement
Yeah.
process. But I'm not able to come back to work. Like, I don't know. I was unclear. He was unclear. Had the brief conversation with him there, and the next morning woke up to an email from corporate
Yeah.
saying,
You're out.
"Thank you so much for your time. It's been great. If you ever change your mind and want to come back to work, let us know."
It's
So
it reeks of we're looking for a reason. Like that's what it reeks of. Sorry, just
yeah,
I'm getting
right.
all invested here. Sorry.
Right, and that's a lot of what it was. They were paying me. I made a ton of money for them, and
Yeah.
did really well for myself, and I was really proud of it. So how they
Yeah.
scaled the temporary disability, it was hurting them, and just
Sure.
dollars and cents. They didn't want me to just be under their employ.
Yeah.
Previously one of their top producers that
Yeah.
now we're just paying for no reason. It was a commission based business, so
Sure.
they super benefited when I was there, and when I wasn't there, it was a zero sum for them.
Yeah.
So got that email. I was shocked, and I'm still in pain from the back. So